What's up, you guys? Welcome to the second episode of the Marked Out Podcast. I'm Mustache, aka Devin. Here's my co-host, as always, Dustin Glass. And today we're gonna try something a little bit different. Dustin, you want to tell them what we're doing today?
Yeah, so normally last week we thought about just kind of doing a review of the pay per views, but we decided everybody does that. So most of the people that are going to be watching, they're like, if I was in charge of WWE or AEW or whatever, I would do it this way. So now me and Devin got the idea. We are going to fantasy book. If you don't know what booking is, make matches for our WrestleMania. There are some stipulations. I'll let Devin explain those, but basically we're just going to alternate. Each have 10 matches, and this is how we would do it. And then at the end of the show, if you guys want to comment, if anybody wants to, you can comment and tell us who won or who do you like, whose show you like better.
I think we're having some internet troubles here. Dustin, you good?
Yeah, can you not hear me?
Yeah, there was a little spike, but I think it's okay now. So, yeah, we're basically gonna be doing, like you said, a fantasy booking, but we're gonna go for we're gonna do a different era when we do these. And this time we're gonna do the Ruthless Aggression Era. Ruthless Aggression. We're gonna say the cutoff is we're gonna start at 2002 April, right when they do the draft, right after the Attitude Era, and we're gonna go to 2008 Armageddon, which is the one with Jericho and Shawn Michaels and all that.
Jeff Hardy won the WWE Championship. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, our rules are, 10 matches on the card. It could be anybody from any of those eras, and we're going to set up storylines to coincide with these matches. They're not just going to be random matches. And we're actually going to explain the reasoning behind everything we're doing.
All right. Do you want to kick
So,
it off?
I kick it up. Okay. So, and once again, if anybody wants to comment, let us know who you did better this week, Dustin or Mustache. In this, I feel like I destroyed him once again, but we'll see what happens. First match on my card. So, started off, we have a tournament going on SmackDown. We have a tournament going on for the world title. The first match is Eddie Guerrero versus Dolph Ziggler. Good match back and forth. Dolph Ziggler's a young kid at this point, doesn't have a lot of footing in the company, but they're doing stuff with him and he's making a name for himself. Eddie Guerrero, he's established himself as the lie, cheat, steal guy, the veteran. He's they're having a pretty decent match, and Dolph Ziggler might get the upper hand. And then all of a sudden shenanigans happen with a steel chair. Dolph Ziggler decides to use it, even though he's winning this match. And that actually backfires on him as the referee gets knocked down. Eddie Guerrero hits him with the steel chair, and he wins that match on SmackDown to advance him into the title picture. Following week, Eddie Guerrero moves on to the second round, and he's doing well in his match. But then Dolph Ziggler, still upset about what happened, comes in, costs Eddie Guerrero the match with the same steel chair. So now there's a thing going on where Dolph Ziggler is saying, he's the future of this company. He's the best in this company, and anything Eddie Guerrero can do, he can do better, including cheating. So for the next couple of weeks, Dolph Ziggler has these brass knucks that he put DZ on, his little emblem, and he's taking people out of his matches with these brass knucks. Eddie Guerrero, on the other hand, decides to turn the other cheek and says, you know what? I'm not just a cheater. I can win too, and I won't cheat. So he starts winning matches on the opposite side through clean, good tactics. WrestleMania comes. These two are the first match on my board. So it's going to be the first match, Dolph Ziggler versus Eddie Guerrero. They're going to have a pretty good match, pretty similar to what we've seen on SmackDown, a lot more longer time period. We'll say it's a good 20-minute match. They're going, and there's a spot where the referee gets knocked down again, and Eddie Guerrero has been wrestling clean up to this point, and here comes Ziggler. He's going to use the brass knucks. But as he's using the brass knucks, Eddie Guerrero hits the kick right to the balls of Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler drops the brass knucks. Eddie Guerrero picks it up, hits Ziggler with it, and for the 1-2-3, the first match, Eddie Guerrero over Dolph Ziggler.
It's a good one. That's a good one. I liked it. Eddie Guerrero gets the upper hand. Eddie will play into my WrestleMania, but in a completely different way because these are kind of alternate universes. So I'll go into. You were done, right? I didn't want to cut you off.
Yeah,
I'm good.
no. I'm
Okay,
good.
good. Okay, so my first match, I think this is a good one. Good heartfelt way to open up the show. So in my universe, there's been a real emphasis on brand supremacy. Raw, SmackDown, and ECW, the newly established ECW brand, competing against each other. ECW has actually kind of been hanging around. They've actually been doing really good. They've been getting a lot of momentum back from the late 90s. It's been what the ECW reboot was intended to be in this. So ECW is actually kind of jumping ahead. So at No Boy Out, SmackDown's trying to figure out how to compete because SmackDown's kind of been last in the rankings. Raw's been second. But the one thing the SmackDown has is the Cruiserweight division, and the Cruiserweight division has been killing it on SmackDown. So at No Way Out, the Big Show was supposed to open the show and have a match, but Teddy Long ends up moving his match to SmackDown in place of the Cruiserweights for a Cruiserweight Championship match to compete. You know, he wants to get the good ratings. He wants to get the spike. So as Big Show's getting replaced, the Cruiserweight Champion, Gregory Helms, walks by him, goes out there. They have a multi-man Cruiserweight match with like Ultimo Dragon, Kid Cash, you know, people of that nature. Absolutely kills it. So Gregory Helms retains the Cruiserweight Championship. This is the heel Gregory Helms. So then the next week on SmackDown, Big Show's pissed, and he just keeps demolishing all of the cruiserweights. Like every time there's a cruiserweight match, he comes out there and interrupts it. He wants to destroy the Cruiserweight Championship, everything like that. Gregory Helms challenges him to a match, but ends up losing on SmackDown in very quick fashion. So then the cruiserweights kind of have a meeting and get together, and they say we need a hero to save the cruiserweight division in reference to Gregory Helms being the Hurricane. So they say they need a hero, but Gregory Helms denies being the Hurricane, said he can't do it. So then at WrestleMania, Big Show challenges Gregory Helms again, but if Big Show wins, he'll destroy the cruiserweight title. So then WrestleMania rolls around. Gregory Helms' music hits. He doesn't come. So Big Show's about to declare a forfeit, but then the Hurricane's music comes. He comes out with the Cruiserweight title, confirming he's the Hurricane. So he goes out there, and they're having the match. Hurricane kind of takes it to him a little bit, but Big Show's dominating. Big Show at multiple times has a chance to win the match at WrestleMania, but he doesn't put Gregory Helms away. So then he exposes the turnbuckle pad and goes to throw Gregory Helms into the exposed turnbuckle pad, but Gregory Helms drop toe holds him into the turnbuckle, and he's kind of like stumbling, dazed. And then Hurricane goes to the top rope, hits the crossbody while he's dazed, gets Big Show, hooks the leg, 1-2-3, Hurricane wins.
It's very good. I like the Big Show Must Die concept of WrestleMania. If you're a fan of wrestling, Big Show always jobs out. So that was a good way to incorporate that. Not very good crowd starter,
All right, what's your second match, sir? Let's see what you got under your sleeve.
Okay, so far, it's pretty even, I would say. That was a pretty good opening match. My second match. So back in 2002, the Outsiders were brought into WWE, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and they were not utilized properly. But in my universe, they become the tag team champions and they destroy everybody. They're the reason that Edge and Christian broke up. The Hardy Boys can't stop them. All these Billy and Chuck, every tag team pretty much just nothing compared to the Outsiders. The only tag team left standing is the Dudley Boys. And the Dudley Boys end up winning a number one contenders tag team turmoil, which they defeat every other tag team on on the roster to line up a tag team match at WrestleMania. Dudley Boys versus Kevin Nash and Scott Hall in a tables match. So we get to the scenario tables match. First 5 minutes of the match, the Outsiders and the Dudley Boys pretty even back and forth, but they end up getting Kevin Nash out of the ring, isolating Scott Hall. They set up the table, and 5 minutes into it, Dudley Boys and Bubba Ray, Devon and Bubba Ray put Scott Hall through the table 3D. Now I should keep in mind that this is an elimination tag, so you have to eliminate both members. So Scott Hall's eliminated first, and then the Dudley Boys start to work on Kevin Nash. They're doing everything. They're doing the what's up to him, just pretty much toying with Kevin Nash. And then they set him up to put in another 3D on Kevin Nash. But then Scott Hall on the outside grabs his stun gun, which you remember in WCW used to use the stun gun on people. Grabs it, stuns Bubba Ray Dudley. Bubba Ray falls to the outside. So now it's Devon versus Kevin Nash on their own, while Bubba Ray is knocked out on the outside. So they go for a little bit, but ultimately Kevin Nash is the better solo wrestler, and he ends up jackknife powerbombing Devon through the table. So now it's 1-on-1, Bubba Ray versus Kevin Nash. Same thing. Kevin Nash is starting to get the upper hand on Bubba, but Bubba actually hits the Bubba bomb on Kevin Nash, sets up the table in the corner, and is looking into Dudley Cutter. Kevin Nash off the top rope, gets him set up in the turnbuckle. He's going to do a cutter off the top rope. Kevin Nash counters at the last second, picks him up, super jackknife powerbomb through the table, and the Outsiders win. Badly hurt, but they win and retain the tag team championships on our second match.
Sorry, I forgot I muted my mic for a second. I was saying the good match. I don't know if I would have had the Outsiders go over, but pretty good.
The big boys go over on my team. We don't give it to the small guys here. We're a little bit realistic. The crowd sees what the crowd wants on my show. So
okay, all right. So the next match for me is, like I said, to play into this thing of brand supremacy. We got two mid-card champions, the Intercontinental Champion and the United States Champion, who have both been on a roll. Over on Raw, Chris Jericho has been killing it. This is face Chris Jericho, Y2J Chris Jericho. He's been having great matches for the Intercontinental Championship, been able to retain it every week, has been on a roll, had this title for like 7-8 months. So then MVP, the new MVP who had just recently won the title a couple months prior, he's also on a roll retaining the United States Championship, but he's doing it through underhanded tactics. He's cheating. He's kind of bending the rules. So you got two differing philosophies. So since Raw and SmackDown have been behind ECW in the ratings, which has shocked both of the general managers, they both get together and they're like, hey, we need a big marquee match to do this. So they come to the decision that they're going to have Chris Jericho versus MVP for the for both of the titles on the line, the Intercontinental title and the United States title. And they're kind of just going back and forth. Like I said, this is a face and heel type thing. So we get to WrestleMania. As far as the match, it's pretty back and forth. MVP does a lot of things that he tries to do to like cheat. Like he puts his feet on the ropes, but the ref catches him. He tries to grab the tights. He tries to get a chair, but ultimately Jericho goes for the walls of Jericho. MVP goes to counter, gets him in the corner. But when MVP runs to do the player's boot as he's running, Jericho catches him with the code breaker 1, 2, 3. So Jericho wins both championships. He wins the Intercontinental title and the United States title.
Very good Lifetime movie you have going on there, Glass.
Lifetime movie? What do you mean Lifetime movie?
Very simplistic. ultimately it's the same things we see before, but I love
Sometimes we don't need intricate finishes, like where somebody, has to throw. Sometimes it's good to have intricate storylines, and sometimes people just want something easy to watch. Both of the guys are good in the ring, and it would have been a good match.
it's nothing that Vince wouldn't do. So in a realistic sense, I think he did good. But could have been a little more sizzle, maybe added a bell pepper or something, make it a little bit
Both
spicier.
of the titles are on the line.
Ooh, we haven't seen that before. Oh my
Okay.
god.
All right. Well, Mr. Innovator, let's see what you got. I mean, at least I'm giving like new people opportunities. You're bringing out people from the retirement home who have to be back at 7 o'clock.
Speaking of retirement home, you'll like my next match. Next match, match number 3. It's gonna be in my timeline, Hulk Hogan was never found out to be Mr. America. So we remember that Vince McMahon was trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes and show that this masked wrestler was Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan never ended up taking off his mask and getting caught. So in my timeline, Mr. America's still around. But as the months go by, people are starting to grow stale of this. They miss Hulk Hogan. They're not really wanting this anymore. And the crowd is starting to turn on it. Mr. America's going out there. He's in a lot of matches, but the crowd just doesn't buy it, so he starts to get booed a lot. And Mr. America doesn't know this. He starts to ask, like, you know what? I represent America. I'm the greatest country on earth. And you people should be happy to have me in this company. You guys loved me 4 months ago. What's going on? So he starts to blame like the new rise of talent. It's because you don't have any heroes. You have people like Rey Mysterio, for example, who we don't even know who he is. He hides behind a mask too, but he's not even American. This is what you want. So he goes in a match with Rey Mysterio. He um he ends up fighting him, gets about a 5-minute match, squashes him, and then everyone is booing. You know, Hulk Hogan's Mr. America's like, why do you boo me? I showed you he was nothing. I showed you he was nothing compared to me. Rey Mysterio comes back, asks for a rematch on another SmackDown. They have another rematch. This time, Rey Mysterio, Hulk Hogan's a little bit more cocky. He goes to do a choke slam to Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio reverses the choke slam, sunset flip roll up. Rey Mysterio gets the win on Mr. America. So now Mr. America's pissed, you know, attacking Rey Mysterio at the end of the match, just just utterly distraught about it. So now we're gonna go to WrestleMania. Mr. America has put his career on the line if Rey Mysterio will do the same, and it's going to be a career versus career match. Mr. America and Rey Mysterio. They go into the match. Very long match. Maybe this will be like not very long, maybe like a 15-minute match. Um,
It's
Lots
an
of back and
eternity
forth.
for Hogan.
It's going to be a long one. Hogan's going to have to get on that treadmill. You're right. He's going to have to get on that treadmill and run. But eventually, uh, Mysterio once again is going to get the roll up from the 619, and he is going to beat Mr. America, elevating him for years to come. Probably the biggest match of Rey Mysterio's career, and he's going to win it.
Okay. Okay. I like it. It was about time for Hulk Hogan to go to bed anyway, get his tapioca pudding. But anyway, we'll come to that later because I got I went to the nurses at the retirement home later in the card on mine and asked if I could borrow 2 people. But moving on to my third match here. Yeah, my third match. So the tag team division has been hot. Like every show has kind of their thing. SmackDown, like I said, has the cruiserweights. ECW's brought back the Extreme Wrestling. The tag team wrestling has been really good over on Raw. You have Edge and Christian. You have DX. You have the Hardy Boys. So Edge and it's hard to get those tag team titles, but Edge and Christian have been killing it with the World Tag Team titles. There's a number one contenders match to determine who's going to fight them at No Way Out, and it's between DX and the Hardy Boys. The Hardy Boys end up winning. So then at No Way Out, it's the Hardy Boys versus Edge and Christian. Well, they go into the match, and the match is really quick. It's like a 2 or 3 minute match. Matt Hardy ends up pinning Christian very quickly, gets the pin. It's almost too quick, though, that it seems a little fishy. So Edge starts questioning Christian over the next few weeks on what happened, and Christian starts making these excuses, and Edge doesn't buy it. Well, he ends up finding someone tips him off, and he ends up finding some footage. And before the weekend before the match at No Way Out, Matt Hardy pays off Christian a huge amount of money to throw the match. So then Edge is pissed at Christian. Well, Jeff Hardy figures out that Matt did this because they're supposed to be good guys' faces, and Jeff didn't want to win the title like that. So Jeff actually relinquishes his half of the World Tag Team titles. Vince, who is in charge of Raw at the time, comes out and says, since Matt, can't find a partner, the titles are vacated. But at WrestleMania, and ode to all their classic matches, it's going to be the vacated titles are going to be hung above the ring in a TLC match, and it's going to be Jeff Hardy and Edge versus Christian and Matt Hardy for the World Tag Team titles. They're doing a lot of the classic spots, but they end up coming up short. Like Edge tries to do the spear to Christian while he's holding on to the tables, but Christian is able to move. Just some of these classic, Jeff Hardy goes through swantons through a table, everything like that. But then at the end of the day, Matt Hardy is kind of laying on the ground, and he looks hurt because Jeff Hardy put him through the table with the swanton. Jeff has a chance to retrieve the titles, but Jeff sees that Matt's hurt, so he's worried about his brother. So he caves, and he goes to check on Matt while he's hurt. And when he's doing that, he doesn't see Christian is climbing up the opposite side of the ladder, and he pulls the titles down, and Christian and Matt Hardy win the tag team titles.
Wow. You went from a Lifetime movie to M. Night Shyamalan in 1 minute. That was great. But there's some things wrong. First of all, Jeff Hardy doesn't die off of a ladder. That's not realistic. He's gotta sacrifice himself for no reason.
Well, that's what he did. He swanton Matt Hardy through the table.
And he got back up from that?
Well, he was able to recover, but when he was going to because Edge was also incapacitated on the outside of the ring, so he had a chance to retrieve the titles, but he was worried about his brother because, they're getting, the medical personnel out there, and he was worried to check on his brother, Matt, and Christian takes advantage, crawls up the opposite side, wins.
So he killed him, but instantly regretted it.
Well, yeah, it's his brother. You've never done things to your brother that you regret?
No, I never swanton my brother to a table, but maybe
you've never had fights with your brother that you regret?
Maybe, but not that bad. Jesus Christ. Very good. So far, that is my favorite match that you have done. I like it. I like that it comes from a little bit of creative thinking. I like it. My next match. This is one of my favorite ones. So, in my timeline, ECW has the One Night Stand pay-per-view the following year. But instead of JBL being the main antagonist of that pay-per-view, Kurt Angle is. Kurt Angle does everything to get that show not working. He will attack wrestlers in the staging area of ECW. He will go out there and try to ruin promos, cut the live feed from the pay-per-view at one point. He does everything, but unfortunately for him, the ECW pay-per-view goes on as successful, and, people are talking about it. So by the end of that year, Paul Heyman is talking about reviving ECW as a show. And Kurt Angle can't stand this. He comes out and he's like, you know why I hate you guys so much? It's because back in the day, you guys gave me a chance to try out for ECW, and you knew that I was Christian, and you did something. You put the cross You hung a wrestler on a cross. You had barbed wire matches. You did everything to offend me. You did everything to alienate me. So I am not going to allow this ECW crap to come back. So he starts to start a war with Paul Heyman. Um, he he starts calling out different wrestlers and stuff, and he starts to, besmirch ECW. So he starts to have go back to regular Kurt Angle. He'll have his Olympic medals challenge, which basically he'll take a wrestler from the crowd and he'll do a challenge for his Olympic medals. So he picks a fan from the crowd who has an ECW shirt. They come into the ring. They do their little match, but ultimately Kurt Angle is going to make him tap out in like 3 minutes. As he's making the fan tap out, he's not letting go. So then, from the crowd, Tommy Dreamer, ECW original, comes out, hits Kurt Angle with the 2x4 wrapped in barbed wire, and starting a feud with him. Next week, Kurt Angle comes and talks about Tommy Dreamer and how these ECW originals are nothing. So they have a match on Raw. It's Kurt Angle versus Tommy Dreamer. That match is happening, and everything looks like it's going Angle's way. He goes to put the ankle lock on Tommy Dreamer, but then the lights go out. And appearing in the ring is the Sandman, another ECW original. Sandman breaks it up, breaks up the ankle lock, and
what kind of beard did he have?
He's more classy at this point. He's gonna have a Bush Light.
Oh, Bush Light, not a PBR.
Not a PBR, not a natural light.
Damn. Okay. Sandman means business. Okay.
Sandman means business. He has the Bush Light, and they're double teaming on him. And then Kurt Angle next week cuts another promo. Still talking crap. He challenges both of them to a match at WrestleMania, but then out from the crowd comes Terry Funk, and Terry Funk's trying to, get Kurt Angle. He has a lot of respect for Kurt Angle as a true wrestler back in his day. Terry Funk sees the side.
I mean, you got to remember Terry Funk whooped Dusty Rhodes' ass.
Yeah, Terry Funk did a lot, but he was also an ECW veteran, so he grew to love ECW. So he tries to give this speech to Kurt about why he loves ECW and why ECW is important. Kurt Angle, you think he's going to shake his hand and let it go, but he just pulls him in, angle slams, ankle lock. Then the Sandman and Tommy Dreamer come out to help Terry Funk, and save him. So at the pay-per-view, it's decided it's going to be a 3-on-1 handicap match. Kurt Angle versus Terry Funk, Sandman, and Tommy Dreamer. Extreme Rules. And it's gonna be a good showing for the vets, but at the end of the day, the wrestling machine is gonna take over, and he's gonna win that match.
Down goes ECW. The death of ECW.
Down goes ECW.
See, I like ECW, so I give him respect. But the that match reminds me of the match they did at WrestleMania 25, where Jericho took on the Legends.
Very similar concept. Yeah. Very similar.
Before I move on, that joke about Terry Funk, you got to do the impersonation, Devin.
I can't do it.
Come on, you got to do it. You got to do. There's this thing we listen to, this other podcast, and Dusty Rhodes is talking about Terry Funk, and Devin does that impersonation pretty good of that story. Come on, just do it.
I'll debut it in another episode. I can't get it right now.
He's basically like, man, Terry Funk really whooped my ass.
Oh, that one? I thought you were talking about a different one.
Yeah, Terry Funk really whooped my ass, man.
That's a funny one. Go ahead with your crap, Dustin. I mean your match.
Hey. I had some friends listen to the show. I don't mind the bantering, but you don't got to completely bury me, man.
No, you've been doing really well.
You don't have to get the shovel out, dude.
You've been doing well. You've been doing really well.
Anyway, okay, so my next match, after he has some Olympic athlete beat up on a bunch of beer drinking old men, my next match is between Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton. and this will make a little bit more sense because I don't want to give the main event away because this ties into the main event. So this match will kind of get explained a little bit more in the main event, but basically Ray ends up helping out Chavo, and Ray and Chavo end up beating Randy Orton and Kurt Angle at No Way Out. Randy Orton is pissed that Ray stuck his nose into their business. So then Randy Orton and Ray end up having the match at WrestleMania, and it's going back and forth. Randy Orton kicks an RK or hits an RKO, and Rey Mysterio kicks out. Ray ends up doing a frog splash and odes to Eddie, but then Orton kicks out, and then he goes for the 619, but Orton counters it. So they keep going back and forth. So Orton tries to go for the punt kick. As Orton's running at him for the punt kick, Ray drop toe holds him into the ropes and hits the 619. But then Ray is kind of like looking at the crowd. So as he goes to like springboard off the ropes, boom, Randy Orton catches him with the RKO off the jump, off the ropes after the 619. 1, 2, 3. Orton wins the match at WrestleMania.
That's a very good match too. Orton, one of my favorite wrestlers, is actually not on my show, but I like how you're taking concepts from the old, from back in the day and trying to make them better. I like it. Um,
Well, that's, we and you went different routes. Like I did do some storylines that I just thought of, but like when I thought this is a chance to like kind of rewrite feuds how I thought they should have went, or maybe like make the feuds better. So, yeah, like I wanted to go with the Randy Orton route. So yeah, Orton wins this match. Randy Orton goes over on Ray.
that goes over on Ray, and you using the wrestling terms. Nice
Oh yeah,
job,
there is.
man.
This is a wrestling podcast. Me and Devin have this thing where, he doesn't think non-wrestlers should use wrestling terms, but people use them all the time because he loves Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes said this. By the way,
By the way,
not to segue too much off topic, we'll get back. But your boy, the man who built AEW, what happened, man? He left. He took his
hey,
ball and ran. What did he do?
sometimes it comes a time where you got to know when to hold them and fold them. And Cody Rhodes is still the greatest of all time. Don't get me wrong, but he planted the seeds for AEW, and honestly, I think he felt like he could do all he could for AEW. Cody Rhodes has got a little bit more competition in AEW as far as Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. They're probably
And
making
he
more.
couldn't hang.
No, that's not what it is. That's not what it
He couldn't
is.
hang.
He's a family man. He just had a kid. He wants the money. WWE is probably going to give him the money he
What
wants.
a fucking hypocrite. Talked all that shit, and then he's like, please, sir, take me back.
No, he's not. WWE, he left without saying anything, and WWE was like, we got to get him. We got to get
That's
him.
the
Get all the money.
universe.
Get all the
It's
money.
funny that happens the week after we do the podcast, and I tell you, at the end of the day, the end all be all is WWE, and the man behind AEW that really got the ball rolling. Guess what he's about to do? He's about to show up back home.
And as the time of this recording, the man has not signed up with WWE.
He's going to. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. Let's get back on track.
You're
I'm
a
sure
bitch.
I'm sure Cody will be so happy with your next match. So go ahead.
My next match is, so in my timeline, John Cena is still the man, Think about the era you should be thinking about is 2005 John Cena. He's on a roll, he's beating everybody, and there's really no challenge for him. But he starts to get a little, not, I don't want to say he's a full-on heel, but he's starting to get very cocky, very so like, there's nobody who can touch me, so what should I even be? What am I doing here? And Stone Cold Steve Austin around this time is the general manager of Raw. Well, enforcer of Raw. Not exactly a general manager, but he's riding around on his four-wheeler. He's making matches. He's doing things, basically the general manager. And Cena, every time Austin tries to find a challenger for Cena, Cena just obliterates them. So Cena's like, man, Steve, what are you going to do? I'm just destroying your entire roster. Maybe they better get somebody who knows what they're doing to get me a better fighter. Saying all this shit to Steve, and Steve don't play that shit. Steve whoops ass, drinks beer, hell yeah. So, at the Royal Rumble, entrant number 30, Stone Cold Steve Austin comes back, surprises everyone. The dirt sheets don't know about it because in my timeline, Dave Meltzer doesn't exist. How about that too? No
I
dirt
agree.
sheets. No dirt
Dave
sheets.
Meltzer's a bitch. But
No
anyway, go
ruining
ahead.
my stuff. Nothing. You don't see it coming on my show. You don't see it coming, dude. And Steve Austin comes out there. He eliminates everyone. So now at WrestleMania, it's going to be the Texas Rattlesnake, the best of his era, versus John Cena, the best of his era, which is now one-on-one at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. And the match is, so far my longest match. I'll say this is like a 30-minute match.
Can Steve
Go.
Austin go 30 minutes at this
Oh
point?
yeah, Steve Austin can go. Steve Austin rehab, and he's got a lot more self-confidence. He's doing well. You know, and so we're having this good match. Cena's just really showing his resilience, kicking out a stunner after table spot, and Austin is doing well too. Austin kicks out of an FU. I don't think Cena has the STF at this point, but he's trying a lot of different things, and it's not working. So finally, Cena, one last FU, gets the match over Austin, and we're gonna have Cena defending his title against Austin successfully.
Not bad. Not a bad match. Not a bad match, but Cena wins?
Cena wins. Cena has to win. Cena's on a
What?
roll. Cena has to win,
What?
man. Yeah, you're dumb. Go ahead with your next match.
No, I agree. At that point, that would be kind of the big win that Cena would need. So I agree with your decision to have him go over. I'm just messing with you.
I was thinking a lot about Austin winning that, but Austin isn't ready to hold the title. I think this is like his final swan song of a match. So
Yeah. Well, you know the old saying, you go out on your back, brother. So.
yeah, I taught you that saying. Go ahead. Next one.
Anyway, so the next match is a women's match. We're all inclusive here on my show. Maybe you have a women's match, but I love women, obviously. Just not because women are obviously very beautiful, but they can go in the ring. We've seen that in recent years. So in this scenario, the two best women of this era were Trish and Lita. So Trish and Lita are over on Raw. They're battling for the women's championship. They're flip flopping it like almost every other week. We can't get a definitive winner for the women's championship. So then Vince decides at No Way Out, we're going to have a match because other women deserve the chance. So at No Way Out, it's going to be Trish versus Lita. And whoever wins, the other can't challenge whether the champion, so they can move on, give someone else an opportunity. So they go to No Way Out. They're having a really good match, but there isn't a decisive winner. It's a double pin. So both of their shoulders are down. The ref counts 3. They don't know who the winner is. So the next night on Raw, he awards both Trish and Lita with the women's championship. So there's 2 women's titles, and he says, whoever loses this title first, the other will be the definitive champion. So Trish and Lita are defending the title every week against women from all comers, not just women from Raw, women from SmackDown, to get the ratings, everything. Trish and Lita keep retaining the titles. They beat Mickie James, Melina, Beth Phoenix, all these women. So at WrestleMania, it's finally decided cannot end in DQ, cannot end in count out. If there's any kind of undecisive finish, the match will be restarted. There has to be a definitive winner. So it's Trish Stratus versus Lita for the undisputed women's championship. And I didn't know how to go as far as like booking the finish of this match. They go back and forth, but at the end of the day, I decided that Trish goes over. Trish is the undisputed women's champion, and she walks out of WrestleMania with both of the belts.
It's a good call, man. But women back in this day just weren't as trained, and especially given time to have good matches. So if you're gonna pick women from this era, you pick the right choice in picking Lita and Trish. Good match.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I thought about having Lita go over, but Trish is probably the best one of the best women's wrestlers of all time. So you have to have Trish go over.
You mean go over like a sunset flip or a leapfrog or like?
Go to your damn match. Win the match.
Yes,
asshole.
there we go.
Win the match.
Let's not be marks, man. Let's give Cody Rhodes.
Oh, that's not the show. What is this podcast called?
That was a bad name for the show, but I am not a mark. I am a purist. There's a difference.
Well, mark is a stupid term. Like when I think of a mark, like there are definitely marks out there that like unfairly criticize stuff. They act like they know stuff about the business. They overstep their bounds. But being an educated fan does not make you a mark.
Okay? We have the term mark for our podcast. Is we're excited. We're marking out. It's a double entendre.
Exactly.
I'm not a mark.
I'm not a mark either. No, I'm not a mark. Anyway, go ahead with your next match.
My next match, you
should put a poll in there. Is Dustin a mark? I bet everybody will vote yes.
Yeah, they would.
Anyway, go ahead.
So, next one. We're going to cool on the storylines for a bit. We're going to give people a little bit of a break. We just had Cena versus Stone Cold. So the crowd, a little exhausted at this point. But it doesn't mean we're going to slow down in terms of in-ring action. So I'm just going to have a nice old cruiserweight match, which in the Ruthless Aggression Era, I argue that the cruiserweights were better than the WCW era. And that's another thing for another day. So in this match, I'm going to have the best cruiserweights I have. I'm going to have Billy Kidman versus Jamie Noble versus Funaki versus Spike Dudley versus Zach Gowen versus Ultimo Dragon. And it's going to be a scramble match, which is going to have a set time limit of 15 minutes. And in that period, there can be as many belt changes, pinfalls, submissions as there can be. And that's what we're going to have. We're going to try to shoot for as many as we can. Everybody in this match is going to hold the title at least once. But when it all comes out to it, it's going to be Jamie Noble. He thinks he's got it, and he's the champion at this point. He's going to hold on to it. He's running away. He's being smart. But he's going to find himself alone in the ring with Zach Gowen, and he's going to take Zach Gowen lightly because those of you who don't remember him, Zach Gowen is the one-legged wrestler. Very good wrestler, but he had one leg, so he's going to think this is easy. He's going to take apart Zach Gowen for a little bit, but Zach's going to get back. He's going to climb up he's going to knock him down. He's going to climb up with about 20 seconds left, hit his moonsault. He's going to get him 1, 2, 3, right when there's 3 seconds left, and Zach Gowen is going to retain or is going to become the new cruiserweight champion.
Damn, I bet Jamie Noble wishes he had a leg to stand on there. Lost his cruiserweight title.
You're a mark, dude. You're a mark, and you're also bad at jokes. So
don't pop it up on the screen again. Yeah, so when it does all the thing, you did it twice for me. There you go. Be fair. Pop it up for him too.
I'm no mark. Everybody knows that.
Anyway, pretty solid match. That's what I want accomplished with the Jericho MVP. Sometimes you need matches that just aren't heavy on storyline that just people can enjoy. So not a bad one there. All right. So the next match I have, very interesting match for sure. This is probably my favorite one that I came up with personally. So like I told you earlier in the show, the Hardy Boys fought DX to determine who would fight Edge and Christian at No Way Out for the tag titles. DX lost. So after DX loses, Shawn Michaels thinks that they've accomplished everything they can as a team and that they can't go any further. He wants to disband the team, but Triple H doesn't want to. So at first, Triple H is being nice about it, trying to convince him not to do it. But then Triple H starts getting pissed and starts kind of getting a little vindictive about it. So recently, because he did come back for a brief stint during this time, Marty Jannetty has come back. But Triple H starts targeting Marty Jannetty, beating the shit out of him. They have a match. Triple H beats him. So then Shawn Michaels is telling him to stop, and Triple H is like, I'm not going to stop unless you team with me. So then Marty Jannetty comes out and is like, I'm going to challenge you again, Hunter, or Triple H. So he comes out, and they have the match, and it's almost going the exact same way, but this time the referee gets knocked out. Triple H goes to get a sledgehammer. The referee tries to take the sledgehammer away, inadvertently gets hit, so the ref is out. So when Triple H is trying to finish him off, Shawn Michaels comes out, super kicks Triple H. Marty Jannetty is able to capitalize. Now the ref comes in, 1, 2, 3. Marty Jannetty pulls the upset on Triple H. So then Triple H is even more furious, and then Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty end up teaming the next week against Triple H and a partner of his choice. Show a Rocker reunion. So Shawn Michaels and Marty and he gets Kevin Nash to come back because of the whole clique. So it's Triple H and Kevin Nash on Raw versus Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Rockers. So Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty end up pulling out the win. Triple H is furious. Kevin Nash ends up leaving him on the apron because Triple H is kind of, dogging him and stuff. So then Marty Jannetty tries to start convincing Shawn Michaels to reform the Rockers and get the tag titles because they never won the tag team titles in WWE. So this infuriates Triple H more. So finally, at WrestleMania, it's decided that Marty Jannetty is going to fight Triple H one more time, but Shawn Michaels is the special guest referee, and whoever wins the match will be Shawn Michaels' tag team partner. So they're going back and forth. Marty Jannetty's this is probably about, 15, 20 minutes. Marty Jannetty's actually able to hang in with Triple H. He's actually able to, Triple H hits him with the pedigree, but he's able to get his foot on the rope. Marty Jannetty's hanging with him. So when Triple H didn't get the pin off the pedigree and he put his foot on the rope, he's told Shawn Michaels to overlook it, and stuff like that. And they're fighting. So Shawn Michaels goes to super kick Triple H. Marty Jannetty's still down, but Triple H actually ends up ducking it. But when Triple H ducks it, it puts him right behind Marty Jannetty. So Marty Jannetty's on this side, he ducks it, put him right behind. So when he ducks it, Marty Jannetty rolls him up, but grabs the tights. But Shawn Michaels doesn't acknowledge the grabbing of the tights, counts the 3, and then Marty Jannetty wins. So then Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty reform the Rockers.
Wow, what kind of storybook fairy tale bullshit do you live in? First of all, let me just everything that's wrong with that match. Jesus. First of all, you better have a hyperbolic time chamber or a fucking cryo room for Marty Jannetty to get back in shape.
He had some good matches when he came back.
You better have the world's best personal trainer for Marty Jannetty. That's 1. 2. No way Triple H is going to want to work with Marty Jannetty in any timeline, in any universe.
This is me.
Place.
I'm in charge.
Well, Triple H will leave and go to TNA. I don't care. That's not going to happen. And third, how dare you have Shawn Michaels on the card and you put him in a guest referee spot? You've lost. You've buried yourself, Dustin. You've gotten everybody to unsubscribe to the WWE Network. You got everybody to call back and refund their pay-per-view.
You don't think the people in the 80s would want to see a Rocker reunion?
No. No one gives 2 shits about Marty Jannetty. They only cared about Shawn Michaels. Most of those people like that tag team because of Shawn Michaels. Had little or nothing to do with Jannetty.
Marty Jannetty got the short end of the stick, and this is why years later he finally gets his moment. Years later he finally gets it.
No, years later, he's still in a ditch wherever he is working at local indie shows because he sucks. You know, you just can't do
Jesus.
this.
What is your problem with Marty Jannetty?
Marty Jannetty was. Look, there's a term in wrestling called the Marty Jannetty, and it was named after him. Whenever
I
you have a
know this. I know this.
whenever you have a tag team and one is not successful after the split, they're the Marty Jannetty. That's just how life is. And in my universe, that's how it is.
Well,
But
Marty Jannetty breaks the mold and he pulls the upset win over Triple H.
well, guys, I don't know how I'm gonna compete with a Rocker reunion, but I'm gonna try here. Think I got something.
So let me
on-
get this straight. Hang on, before you go, let me get this straight. The people don't want to see a Rocker reunion, but they want to see fucking Kevin Nash and Scott Hall.
Yeah, because they were still popular at this
Oh,
point.
please.
You know, they weren't popular in 1989. They were popular in 1997. So it was a little
Please.
bit. It was a little bit closer. You know. And of
Marty
course,
Jannetty going through the barbershop window was one of the most iconic moments in wrestling history.
you weren't
But
even born.
you weren't either. That doesn't mean I can't
Exactly.
appreciate it.
Okay.
Anyway, go with your match. Go with your match.
God. Okay. So next match. This is the one I actually really like. So in my timeline, we still have the sycophant Chris Jericho, the Chris Jericho that would come out in the suit, use the big words, troglodyte, ignoramus, all that, comes out. And Chris Jericho has just been kind of on his own warpath, dispelling the conspiracies and the lies told by WWE. So he's taking out big names, mainly legends, but he's also taking out, people who are just popular in general, So he is still on this warpath, and he starts to talk about the legend of The Undertaker. And he tells everybody that The Undertaker is just a legend. In real life, his name is Mark Calloway, and he is a divorced old man that has nothing left in his life but you people, and that's sad. And he would talk about that, and he would try to expose the real man that is the Undertaker. He would do interviews with his ex-wife Sarah and talk about why it ended. Just humiliating the Undertaker. In the Royal Rumble, Chris Jericho's doing well, but then the lights go off. After the lights go off, a tombstone pops up with Chris Jericho, rest in peace, and it's struck by lightning. Chris Jericho sees this, he's thrown over the top rope by somebody, and he's lost his Royal Rumble opportunity. So he's pissed. He challenges The Undertaker to a WrestleMania match. Still trying to expose, and as we should know, Undertaker is taking one of his leave of absences, so we haven't seen the Undertaker, and we still don't really see him. We see crazy, spooky things happen, but we don't see the Undertaker. But we just hear all this shit talking from Jericho. So at WrestleMania, it happens. Chris Jericho versus the Undertaker. Chris Jericho starts off strong, but it's gonna be pretty much a squash match for the Undertaker, and Undertaker's gonna tombstone Jericho. I wouldn't say a squash match, but it's gonna be a definitive win for the Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Okay, that's probably my favorite one that you did, to be honest.
Yeah, I know, I'm good.
So, so my next match. See, we take different routes. This is all about giving people opportunities and booking them the way they should have been. Okay, so ECW has come back, and ECW is actually what their ECW reboot should have been. They're letting them have extreme matches. They're utilizing new talent, but they're also bringing back the old talent, letting them go do the hardcore stuff, not limiting them, basically. So Tommy Dreamer ends up winning the ECW championship. ECW, because like I said earlier in the show, they have a ranking system to support this brand supremacy. They have a ranking system where they rank the shows each week. ECW has won like 4 or 5 weeks in a row, and Vince McMahon is furious because he's heading Raw. Teddy Long is getting pressure, so they're trying to come up with a plan.
Your
So Vince,
universe is nuts. There's something wrong in your universe. But go ahead.
so so Vince makes it where Tommy Dreamer has to defend the ECW championship at No Way Out against a SmackDown superstar and a Raw superstar. And if the SmackDown or Raw superstar win, they both would say they would destroy the championship. Raw, they get Umaga. SmackDown, they get JBL. So this is this triple threat match. So there's kind of moments where Tommy Dreamers fight through, but this triple threat really turns into a handicap match. And but then they can't decide. They want one. The other one wants the glory. JBL gets a little bit too handsy with Umaga, as far as like pushing him and stuff. So then they start trying to disconnect. But then Jerry Lawler, who has been talking exclusively, because you all know the history of Jerry Lawler. He hated ECW. He talked shit about ECW specifically all throughout the 90s. Jerry Lawler on Raw has been talking like a lot of shit about ECW. So he sees this meltdown. So he goes off the commentary table, goes into the ring, and is like trying to get them, to coexist. So then they go to hold Tommy Dreamer together, and Jerry Lawler gets a chair. So Jerry Lawler goes to hit him, but Tommy Dreamer moves out of the way and accidentally hits Umaga, knocks him out. So then JBL is pissed, like, what are you doing? Stuff like that. And in that momentary lapse, Tommy Dreamer drop kicks JBL into Jerry Lawler and then ends up getting the opportunity, DDTs him on the chair that was brought into the ring, pins JBL, retains the ECW championship. So then the next night on Raw, Jerry Lawler is absolutely furious, and is wanting the match with Tommy Dreamer, wants to embarrass Tommy Dreamer. So Tommy Dreamer agrees to the match only if Jerry Lawler loses, he can never wrestle again. So at WrestleMania, it's Tommy Dreamer versus Jerry Lawler for the ECW Championship in an ECW Extreme Rules match. They're going back and forth. Decent little match, not too long, about 8-9 minute match. Tommy Dreamer goes for the DDT, but Jerry Lawler earlier in the match had brought his crown into the ring. So Jerry Lawler low blows Tommy Dreamer and then does a pile driver to him onto the crown and then pins him and then wins the ECW championship. So Jerry Lawler walks out of ECW with the ECW title, and then he starts appearing on ECW the following weeks, just like mocking the title and everything like that.
I like that one. That's a throwback to the '90s with Jerry Lawler. You have a lot of pride for Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer in my universe is lucky to have a job.
Well, if you're having someone represent ECW, it almost has to be Tommy Dreamer.
I agree. I don't think anybody personifies ECW more than Tommy Dreamer. Maybe RVD, but that's a discussion for another day. But so come to my next match, and very similar to a match on your list. I also have a women's match because I believe in equality too. So, but unfortunately, in this era, we don't have Bailey, we don't have Sasha, we don't have Dr. Britt Baker, we don't have the greatest talent, But we have two very capable wrestlers, and you said them earlier. We have Trish Stratus and we have Lita. And it's a little bit different what we're leading up to. It's just been that Lita and Trish have been killing it. They've been starting the women's revolution very early. They had their main event on Raw, just like in real life, but in my storyline, they had it around this time. They've had very prominent roles in the pay-per-views. People are actually watching their matches. They've had hardcore match at this point, but nothing really significant. So at WrestleMania, we're going to have the first ever women's ladder match. And it's going to be Trish Stratus versus Lita. The Hardy Boys are going to come out and help Trish. And then in my storyline, Christian is still with Trish. So Christian and Tonko are going to be on the other side, and there's going to be a lot of shenanigans with the ladders, and got some guys who could take some falls and stuff. But at the end of the day, Lita is actually going to go over because this is Lita's
Yeah.
match. This is Lita's
Yeah,
match.
ladder match. Yeah.
Yep, and Lita is
I
going to
agree.
get it. But Trish is going to win it the next night on Raw because I'm a bastard. But
So Lita has the Hardy Boys in her corner, and Trish has Christian and Tomko.
yep,
Okay. I don't mind that. That's not bad. I think mine's better.
No, it's
but
not.
because it's for, even though yours is a ladder match, my match doesn't need gimmicks because it's for the undisputed women's championship.
Oh my god, undisputed. Okay.
Anyway, so the next match, this is where I said I'm going to the retirement home here. So the whole which to be fair, Ric Flair at this point could still go. This is like 04, 05, everything like that. And I changed my mind on how this match is going to end. And I think you'll like the finish. So anyway, so there's been this big thing, on brand supremacy, but then Ric Flair comes out and says, there's been so much talk about the brands, but people are forgetting who the best is in the world is, who the best wrestler ever is. Woo! Like that. So, he's cutting his promos and talking his shit. And then he makes the comment that no one was ever the top dog in WCW and WWE like he was. Well, Hulk Hogan takes exception to this, so Hulk Hogan returns, comes out, and calls him out. So they agree to have a match at WrestleMania. Now, Ric Flair can still go a little bit, but Hulk Hogan's obviously a little older at this point. So they make the match to a no disqualification, a no holds barred match. So there's a lot. Ric Flair tries a lot of shenanigans. He tries to get a steel chair, but Hogan throws him into the steel chair. Gets busted open like a turkey, like he does in almost every match. Blood is like everywhere, stuff like that. And Hogan is going. But earlier in the match, Ric Flair does a figure four leg lock. You got to listen to this finish. Ric Flair does a figure four leg lock, like using the turn, like the post from the outside, since it's a no holds barred. And Hulk Hogan's like kind of like hobbling, but he's still trying to fight through the match. So then Hogan is like hulking up, making his vintage comeback. Hogan's trying to put somebody away. His leg's still hurting, but he's able to get the leg up to do the big boot. But when he's bouncing off the ropes, he's hobbled, so he can't fully get the leg drop in because Ric Flair did the figure four earlier in the match. So that slight hesitation gives Ric Flair a chance to recover. He low blows him. So then Hogan goes down to the ring, and Ric Flair locks in the figure four leg lock again, and Hogan's trying to hold on, and Hogan's trying to get to the ropes, and Hogan grabs the ropes, but because it's a no holds barred, Ric Flair doesn't have to break the hold, so then Hogan ends up tapping out. So then Ric Flair wins the match at WrestleMania.
You're going to end your match by having someone grab the ropes and tap?
He tries to grab the ropes and grabs the ropes, but there's no break because it's a no holds barred. So after the damage earlier in the match combined with this, then he has to do nothing but tap out.
You are gonna piss a lot of people off, but I like the nostalgia of it. I'm assuming your sponsors for that match are Viagra and AARP, but overall, it's pretty good. I would not have Hogan lose.
I thought about having Hogan go over, but I was thinking more about the finish, and that was a better finish, I thought, with the leg. Because it doesn't make Hogan, if Hogan would have won if the leg didn't get injured in the match.
I don't know, man. I don't think you have Hogan tap out on WrestleMania, but
how big would that be for Ric Flair, though?
Ric Flair doesn't need that. He's old. He's a 16
Yeah, but he's
champion.
still able. But remember, this is 02 to 08. If this is around 04, 05, Ric Flair still has another 3 to 4 years in him. That could have been a win that could legitimately gave him possibly another run at the world title.
I don't know. I think
Because Hogan had like 2 or 3 matches in him at that point. Ric Flair still had 3 or 4 years worth of matches left in him at that point. So like they could have given Ric Flair momentum to where he could legitimately maybe even had another world title run.
I think that could have been an opportunity for Ric Flair to maybe do a new finisher or maybe pin Hogan in some way. But I don't know if you're tapping out Hogan.
His leg was injured, man.
I understand. But
Anyway,
still,
go on with yours.
your world is coming to your world. Something's going on. They're rioting outside after this. But all right. We're on to match 9, so this is my co-main. This is the big one here. Every WrestleMania's got to have this. The Rock, in my era, tried the Hollywood thing, but he had some self-doubt, and after his movies weren't getting off the ground, he decided to go back to wrestling. So The Rock comes back in about, let's say this is like 05, 04, whatever, but timelines don't really matter that much, but he just comes back. So he comes back, and he says that he tried the Hollywood thing, but his real love was always wrestling, and so he'll be here for as long as he can be. And he comes back, and he's fully committed to it. He's appearing on the house shows. He's not winning the title just yet because he came back, but Vince McMahon comes out and starts to talk that old Vince McMahon shit. He says, Hogan tried it in the 80s, all these wrestlers have tried it, but at the end of the day, I own every single wrestler, including you, Dwayne Johnson. Says that, talks that shit. But The Rock doesn't get owned by anybody. So The Rock has rock bottoms Vince McMahon when he says that, and so these next months it's gonna be Vince McMahon fucking with The Rock, putting him in these 3-on-1 handicap matches. The whole deal, just trying to end The Rock. And eventually this is gonna lead to a match, no holds barred, WrestleMania. It's gonna be
Bigger than the Scorpion King.
It's gonna be Vince McMahon versus The Rock, WrestleMania. And at mine, the Vince McMahon is gonna pull out all the chicanery. He's gonna have the goons of the week, Chris Masters, Big Show. A lot of the heels are gonna come out in this match. Even his son Shane is gonna come out. But The Rock gets through everybody, and he ends up putting Vince McMahon rock bottom through a table, tosses him in the ring, does the people's elbow, and 1, 2, 3. The Rock is gonna win this match.
Okay. You had to throw Vince on there. You want to talk about me riding? You're giving Vince a co-main.
Vince
You're giving Vince a
deserves it.
co-main, dude. Like, at least I'm giving new start. Like, I do have some older people, but at least I'm giving like newer people opportunities. Like, you got Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold, Vince McMahon, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall on your show.
But I also have Dolph Ziggler, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, and a lot of other young people.
Because Eddie and Ray are spring chickens.
Ray's pretty relatively young at this point. Yeah.
Anyway, but I mean, they're good matches. I'm just saying we took two different routes on it. So this is my co-main for the World Heavyweight title. So I told you I'd get back on why Ray fought Orton earlier in the show. This is the reason. So everybody remembers after Eddie Guerrero passed away, Rey Mysterio won the Royal Rumble, ended up winning the triple threat match with Kurt Angle and Randy Orton, one of the biggest moments in WrestleMania history. But in my storyline, instead of Rey Mysterio winning the Royal Rumble, Chavo wins the Royal Rumble match. So then it's kind of an upset. So then after he wins the Royal Rumble match, Kurt Angle and Randy Orton, who had already been touted to be like the world title match at WrestleMania, they feel he shouldn't be anywhere near this match. He got lucky. He doesn't deserve it. So they band together and they want Chavo out of the main event at WrestleMania because Chavo says he's going after the world title. So there's a match made at No Way Out to where Randy Orton and Kurt Angle versus Chavo, and Chavo gets the help of Rey Mysterio. And if Chavo and Ray win, Chavo's in, Randy Orton's out. If Randy and Kurt Angle win, Randy's in, Chavo's out. So they have the match at No Way Out. Chavo and Ray end up winning. That's why Randy Orton and Ray have the feud, because Randy Orton blames Ray for not being in the main, like one of the main events of Mania. So then Chavo and Kurt Angle end up having the match. They go back and forth, probably about a solid 25-minute match or so, 30-minute match. A lot of near falls. Like Chavo hits the gory bomb on him, goes for the frog splash once, misses it. Kurt Angle gets the Olympic slam, but Chavo kicks out. Kurt Angle gets him in multiple ankle locks, but each time Chavo's able to get out. So finally the finish is Kurt Angle is going for an Olympic slam, but Chavo is able to kind of counter out of it and kind of hit like a neck breaker from behind. Earlier in the match, Kurt Angle had kind of like ran at him and his shoulder had gotten hit into the post. So when he did this, he's still favoring his shoulder. So then Chavo takes advantage of this and goes to the top rope. And right before he does the frog splash, points up to Eddie and then hits the frog splash. 1, 2, 3. Chavo wins the world heavyweight title. And then Ray comes out and celebrates with him.
That's pretty good. It's going to be a touching moment, a nice send off for WrestleMania. I could definitely see that being one of the good.
Well, this is the co-main. There's one more.
Oh, really? You have one
Yeah.
more? Oh, well, damn. Well, you should end the show with that. But that's your show. I don't know how you top that. Maybe you'll top it. We'll see. Okay, my last match. Not a lot of people are gonna see this coming. So, my timeline. Shelton Benjamin debuts on Raw the same exact way he did in real life. He beats Triple H in his first match, and then he beats Triple H again in a tag team. And he starts to get some fire after that. Eventually, they have another match on Raw. Triple H wins that. This is like a year before, so Triple H kind of ends that feud. But Shelton starts to pick up a lot of momentum after that. He beats Ric Flair. He beats Randy Orton. He's beating some very good guys. He'll beat, he'll basically beat all members of Evolution in one-on-one competition. He'll go on an Intercontinental title run. He'll do some good things. So, Shelton's being booked well. He's coming into his own as a charismatic wrestler. And during the Royal Rumble, he does very well for himself, but the combined efforts of Evolution get him out of the Royal Rumble. So, at No Way Out, you're going to have a triple threat to determine who's going to be the number one in line for Triple H's title, and you're gonna have some big stars in there. You're gonna have Shawn Michaels, you have Big Show, and you have like Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin is gonna win that match. He wasn't favored at all. There was not. Everybody assumed it was gonna be Shawn and Triple H, but he comes out and he wins that match. So Shelton Benjamin is gonna start talking about Triple H. Remember when I debuted on Raw and all that? But Triple H is gonna say, there's guys like you who get that big win, but they just don't cut it after a while. I'm always gonna be here, Shelton, and you are just always gonna be where you are because that's how things are. So they're gonna go into it. Last match, Shelton wants this to mean a lot more than just winning the title. So he challenges Triple H to his match, which in my reality he's still undefeated in, is the Hell in a Cell match. Hell in a Cell, Shelton Benjamin versus Triple H. Evolution is barred from ringside. So they go in, they have a great match, sledgehammer and all, They even go to the top for a little bit, but it's gonna end with Shelton Benjamin hitting the T-bone suplex on the top of the cell. Hopefully the damn thing don't break.
Jesus, this is
But
dangerous as hell.
yeah, this is dangerous as hell. I'm not gonna lie, but maybe we won't go to the cell. Hunter might have some trepidation about that, but we are gonna do something to set up that finish, and it's gonna be a T-bone suplex, and Shelton is gonna be the first ever African American world heavyweight champion, and he's gonna close the show as the world heavyweight
I
champion.
like it. You kind of took the Kofi storyline, but remade it your own with Shelton.
Shelton deserved it, man. Shelton was good, and you needed to strike while the fire was hot with Shelton, so I believe that was the right call.
So I thought about ending it with Chavo. That good WrestleMania, Devin. Hats off to you. We'll let the people decide if you won, but really good. You might have beat me. I don't know. I think I'm hanging in there with you. Main event though, even though Chavo is a feel good moment, you gotta have that big WrestleMania match. So not a lot of storyline. Well, I mean storyline behind it, but not intricate storylines like some of the others have been. John Cena, WWE champion, been on a roll, retains it inside the Elimination Chamber at No Way Out. So then after John Cena celebrating the Elimination Chamber, the lights go out. Then they come back on. Undertaker's in the middle of the ring. And then they just kind of have the stare down. So then, like, obviously, Undertaker's playing his mind game. Cena's still kind of young at this point. Like, Undertaker, like, lays, like, John Cena's, like, football jerseys that he used to use over a tombstone that has his name on it. Cena breaks out his old character again, raps on Taker. You know, they're just going back and forth. So then at WrestleMania, it's Undertaker streaks on the line versus John Cena for the WWE Championship. A lot of near fall finishes, about 35, 40-minute match. Cena goes for 5-knuckle shuffle. Taker grabs his throat as he's going down, choke slams him, breaks out the last ride. Cena gets him in the STFU. Taker gets out. Cena kicks out of multiple tombstones. Taker kicks out of multiple FUs. So the finish is Cena goes to put Taker on the top rope to do a super FU to him. He pulls it off, pins him. Taker kicks out again. He can't believe, like, what does he have to do to put him away? So then he's kind of like getting frustrated. He's slowly dragging up Taker. He's trying, but he's winded. So he tries to go under to do the attitude adjustment or the FU again. But as he's doing it, Taker reverses his momentum, picking him up into the tombstone, jumps with the tombstone, tombstones him, middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3, it's over.
So the Undertaker. So you basically made the John Cena match and Undertaker match way better.
Yeah, but it's for the WWE title with the streak. And even though Cena loses this match, he had a good showing. Kicked out of multiple tombstones, kicked out of the last ride, kicked out of a choke slam. But at the end of the day, Taker goes over, wins the WWE title at WrestleMania, switches back over to the Raw brand after that, and then you get some other good feuds. But yeah, Taker goes over, wins in the main event of WrestleMania for WWE title.
Well, by Cody Rhodes, you've done it. You made a pretty good little match
By Cody Rhodes.
So I still think your best match was the M. Night Shyamalan match with Matt Hardy and Jeff and all that. But your order, in my opinion, was a little off. I don't think you should end with Taker and Cena, and I don't think you should have Hogan tap out. But overall, I like the Chavo stuff. I like the opening match is really good. The Divas match is really good. The whatever women match.
I have a
really,
friend that does that. So
the women's match was really good, and overall, I give you a solid 7.5.
7.5.
7.5. 8.
Mm,
7.5. 7.5.
So my only issues with your show were I think you utilized, like, you went to the well on the older guys a little bit too much. I would like to see a few. You kind of made up for it with Shelton. Shelton Benjamin, winning the WWE Championship. That was a good moment, but I wish he kind of would have, because I liked what you did with Ziggler, and I wish you would have done that more. But my favorite match was the Jericho Taker match, like as far as the storyline. But you gave me a 7.5. I think yours might be. I want the people to decide. I think yours might be slightly better. You gave mine a 7.5 or an 8. I'll give yours about an 8.5 or a 9. Because you had the marquee, but see, I felt like you said I didn't take chances as far as like some of the storylines. I think your storylines might have taken a little bit more chances, but as far as the people I utilized for WrestleMania, I took chances on a lot of people. Like I have Tommy Dreamer on my WrestleMania card, for God's sake. I have
him
Marty
too.
I have Marty Jannetty. I have fucking Jerry the King Lawler.
That was a bad one. That's still I don't
Chavo, like that's not a bad match, dude. That's not a bad match.
There is no that should be on Raw, if anything. That shouldn't be on WrestleMania. But if you get Marty Jannetty in shape and get him off that booze, maybe, I don't know. Give him a cool outfit. Don't give him that goddamn rocker outfit. Give him.
He has to come out in the rocker outfit. He wants to reform the Rockers.
He better be cut to the gills if he does that, because my God, I don't want to see 57-million-year-old Marty Jannetty in a rocker outfit. And Triple H coming in jacked.
I'd rather see a rocker reunion than Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. I hated when they formed in TNA. I was like, I don't want to see it in WWE either. Like, come on.
This is them when they're still like in the 2002 to 2003.
I know, but
they're still relatively good, and I think that's a good match for them because Scott Hall don't have to work that much, and then Kevin Nash is just going to be taking a beating the whole time. I think that's a decent match.
Well, anyway, those are match cards. Y'all can decide who won. I really enjoyed doing that. But do you have any ideas on what you want to do next week, Devin? I'm still thinking about it, to be honest with you.
We'll see. If anything, I want to reach out to another fighter, KT. He loves wrestling. I want to have him on. I'm thinking about doing some sort of top 5 or something and get KT's input on it. But we'll see.
Like a top 10 favorite wrestler list, maybe.
We'll see. It may not be that broad. It may be something a little bit more specific, but we'll see what it is.
Okay. Well, that's the show. To let us know who you thought won. Me, but let me know who you thought won, and I enjoyed it, Devin. In all seriousness, it was
praise be Cody Rhodes. We love you. Whatever your decision is, make all the money you want, man. The true fans will stand by you, not the marks like him. Okay. But we'll see you guys next week.
All right, see you guys.